Imagine finding a 14th century cookbook with a recipe for pineapple upside-down cake. Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what historians discovered in an ancient monastery. Today, we're cracking open a medieval mystery that'll blow your mind. Here's where things get really weird. Brother Thomas, the monastery's head chef, vanished right after writing down this impossible recipe. The other monks found his kitchen totally empty, just a half-chopped onion on the cutting board and his famous wooden spoon still stirring a pot of soup. Some say he discovered time travel through cooking. I mean, how else could he know about pineapples centuries before they reached Europe? His personal diary mentions a golden fruit that tastes like sunshine and honey. Sounds exactly like a pineapple, doesn't it? The craziest part? They found pineapple leaves pressed between the pages of his recipe book. Talk about a medieval X-file. But Brother Thomas wasn't the only medieval chef with a knack for future food. These monastery cookbooks are packed with ingredients that shouldn't exist in their time. We're talking tomatoes in 12th century Italy, chocolate in pre-Columbian France, and get this, one recipe calls for sweet orange pods from the New World that sounds suspiciously like vanilla. These monks were either time travelers or they had some seriously mysterious connections. The weirdest part, every single one of these recipes actually works. Modern chefs have tested them and they're not just accurate, they're delicious. It's like these medieval monks had a secret portal to whole foods in their pantry. Here's where this mystery gets absolutely bonkers. Multiple monasteries across Europe reported having fresh pineapples in their kitchens during the 1300s. I'm talking about juicy, ripe pineapples showing up in places like northern France and Germany, centuries before Columbus even thought about sailing west. The monks wrote about these spiky golden fruits in their daily records, super casual, like it was totally normal to have tropical fruit in medieval Europe. They even had detailed drawings that perfectly match modern pineapples. And check this out, archaeologists found pineapple rinds preserved in the monastery's garbage pits. Carbon dating confirms they're from the 14th century. How's that possible? The closest pineapple was an ocean away in South America, chilling with the Aztecs. These medieval monks weren't just ahead of their time, they were living in a completely different century. Take Brother Giovanni from Venice. In 1326, he wrote about this round red fruit that grows on vines and makes any sauce sing with flavor. Sound familiar? That's a tomato, folks. A good 150 years before it should have existed in Europe. Or how about Sister Maria in Germany? She casually mentioned making bitter brown drink from ground beans that keeps the sisters awake during morning prayer. That's straight up coffee, people, centuries before it hit European shores. These monks and nuns were dropping future food references like they had a subscription to 2023's Food Network magazine. The really mind-bending part? Their descriptions are so detailed, so specific, it's impossible they were just making it up. It's like they had some sort of divine culinary inspiration, or maybe just a really well-hidden time machine in the monastery basement. Let's talk about the weirdest beer brewing story in history. These monks had a special technique they called the eternal ferment. They'd start brewing at sunset, but here's the crazy part. Witnesses swear the sun wouldn't rise until the beer was ready. I'm not talking about them losing track of time after a few sips. Official church records show these brewing sessions lasting anywhere from 3 to 72 hours, but outside the brewery, only minutes would pass. The monks' secret recipe included something they called starlight honey and timeless hops. Other monasteries tried copying the technique, but nobody could replicate that time-bending magic. The last batch was brewed in 1352, right before Brother Thomas disappeared. Some say if you drink it, you can taste flavors from different centuries all at once. Let me take you on a tour of the weirdest garden in history. These monastery plots weren't your average medieval veggie patches. They were botanical impossibilities. Imagine walking through rows of bright red bell peppers in 1340s England, or stumbling upon a patch of perfectly grown sweet potatoes in medieval Germany. The monks kept detailed garden journals, drawing every leaf and flower with scientific precision. They even had plants that modern botanists say couldn't possibly survive in European climates. But here's the kicker. We have actual preserved specimens from these gardens, real physical proof that these impossible plants were thriving centuries before they should have existed. And the monks? They just kept gardening like it was no big deal, casually growing plants from 500 years in the future. Let me tell you about the weirdest dinner parties in history. Every midnight, like clockwork, these monks would throw these incredible feasts. The spread was insane. Exotic spices, fresh tropical fruits, and dishes that wouldn't be invented for centuries. But here's the really freaky part. When morning came, all the leftovers would completely vanish. No crumbs, no scraps, not even a dirty plate. The monastery records show they ordered normal medieval ingredients, just basic stuff like flour and local vegetables. But guests wrote about tasting foods they couldn't even name, flavors that wouldn't exist until modern times. One visitor in 1348 described eating something that sounds exactly like chocolate ice cream. The really spooky thing? The kitchen storage was always empty before these feasts, yet they fed hundreds of people with food that appeared out of nowhere. Here's where this mystery goes from weird to absolutely mind-blowing. Our archaeology team just uncovered something that's making historians scratch their heads so hard they might need helmets. We found a perfectly preserved monastery kitchen buried since 1347. Normal stuff, right? Wrong. Mixed in with typical medieval pottery, we found modern-style cooking tools, including what looks exactly like a metal pineapple corer. The metal's composition matches 14th century materials, but the design? Pure 20th century. And buried under the kitchen floor, we discovered sealed clay jars containing spices that shouldn't have reached Europe until the 1700s. The craziest part? These spices are still fresh, like they were sealed yesterday. It's as if someone dropped a Williams-Sonoma catalogue right into the Middle Ages. Grab your flashlights, because this is where our medieval mystery takes a wild turn into Indiana Jones territory. Behind the monastery's massive cooking hearths, we found hidden doorways, dozens of them. These weren't your regular secret passages for sneaking midnight snacks. The stones around these openings are weirdly warm, and they buzz with this strange energy that makes compass needles spin like crazy. The really bizarre thing: when we map these passages, they form the exact same pattern as modern quantum physics diagrams for time travel. And get this, monks reported hearing modern kitchen sounds through the walls, blenders whirring, microwaves beeping, and even what sounds like Gordon Ramsay yelling about raw chicken. Let me tell you about the wild experiments happening in labs right now. Scientists in white coats are hunched over ancient recipes trying to crack the monk's kitchen code. They've got all the ingredients, exactly what the manuscripts list, but something's still off. The food comes out tasting like regular medieval grub, missing that mysterious future flavor everyone raved about. One team even rebuilt an entire monastery kitchen down to the last stone. They followed Brother Thomas's instructions to the letter, cooking at specific times under certain stars. But instead of time-traveling treats, they just got really fancy old-school meals. Though last week something weird happened. Their test kitchen clock started running backwards during a brewing session. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through time and taste. If you're hungry for more medieval mysteries, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Share this video with your food-loving friends. Let's solve this delicious puzzle together.